Here's Johnny Bowden's blog. Here's another great blogger about nutrition. And you'll see one of the things you'll see in the news, like this piece here, headlines came out saying low carb diet has high risks. And talking about Dean Ornish, talking about the Atkins diet and all that kind of stuff, or increases all-cause mortality, which means eat low carb like Atkins, then you're going to die of everything sooner. That's what all-cause mortality means. So very inflammatory headings. And if you go through, this kind of material, you'll start to see that there's, people don't always tell you the truth. It's a staggering thing. And they just fudge details. They make things look like they're telling them you the truth to support their point of view. But when you really dig deeper, you've got to really question it. So this is where he introduces that idea. And then that next one, the part two, you'll actually see a lady called Denise Minger come in, who's a fantastic researcher, talking about how the difference between observational studies and experiments, and the difference about how can you decide those things from that person, and brought out these arguments here. Animal and fish sources were lumped together. No distinction was made as how the animal products were prepared, and finally no distinction between factory farm meat and grass-fed organic meat. So, you've got to take these things into account when you see things that are very inflammatory about low-carb living and meat eating in particular, because there's a bias in the news for vegetarian living. The Harvard Medical School people are very much pro-vegetarian. I was like that when I was in medical school, and for my first, as I said, 30 years after medical school. And so you just need to go back. If you've got any questions about these things, the reason I'm only showing you these is to point out you can actually go and read these things so you can make your own mind up. I love this one about the China study. Michael Leeds, again, I've mentioned him before. And, the China study is often brought up as the big study that proves that plant-based eating is better for you than meat-based eating. But when you look deeper into the study, you see it's pretty fundamentally flawed. And proponents of the study do not want to see that. So I'd recommend you read this article and about how they pull that together. And then you'll see, mention of Ansel Keys there again. And then Denise Minger comes into the equation again. And, here's her site. So this is the China Study 2 on that page. And, you'll see her rebuttal of the China study. And she talks about all the particular things, like the issues that Campbell claims, a bit about plasma cholesterol and plant protein, things like that. And she actually pulls apart the data in a way that most people can understand. And so then you can begin to see that Joseph Campbell might be making a claim, but he really shouldn't be making that claim given the data. But unless you dug into the data yourself, you wouldn't know whether that claim was viable or not. And that's what I like about blogs like this, is they actually highlight the truth of those studies. And then once you see those studies, and you see the truth elucidated for you like that, then it's basically becomes easier to take studies like that with a grain of salt when you see them come over the news, because it's basically a fight for your mind and where people want to focus your attention. And this is all about drawing your attention back to the actual real aspects of what it takes to create a healthy body, and it's not necessarily what the researchers are actually trying to show you. So fantastic article there about the whole China study. And if you ever have anyone throw up the China study to you, if you want to question it, go read this article. I won't go through all of it. I'm just wanting to show you it's there and show you how extensive it is, so that then you can actually go make your own mind up, which that's what I've done, and I'd love you to do the same. Just know that this material is out there, and you don't have to buy into everything you see. You can see this is a very long article, don't you? So you don't have to buy into everything you see in the press. And remember this, next time you're tempted to believe an article by a so-called nutritionist or food scientist, it is difficult to get a man to understand or a woman to understand something when his or her salary depends on him or her not understanding it. But don't let their economic drama dissuade you from your own personal food choices.